I talk to my friends about this and we discuss, are we, how often would we masturbate and watch porn?
Yeah.
And most of us agree it would be every single time we masturbate, we watch porn.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be that it would be very difficult now to not masturbate and watch porn. So I think that's actually quite an interesting thing to talk about because we're talking about porn. Do you think that now it's become quite difficult for some people to enjoy solo pleasure without pornography on the side?
Yeah. And again, that's not necessarily the porn's fault. It's because like with all things, thanks to the social media and digital era that we live in, our attention span has been shot to bits. And so we're used to that immediate, quick, fast arousal that porn gives us access to, rather than the slower arousal cycle that's initiated by imagination or just touching yourself and waiting for those cues to kick in. Because if somebody, listeners at home, give this a try. If you just sit there for a little bit, just touching yourself, stroking yourself, exploring your body and what feels good, actually, high chance you're going to become aroused. And you're going to be so mindful, actually, of the sensation of your pleasure and arousal. It's going to be a very different experience. So one of the things that we do as a sex therapist is about sexual mindfulness. And one of the downsides of porn, unfortunately, like social media, like scrolling on our phones, is it stops us from being mindful and engaged. And the great thing about porn is that it can be really quick. It can allow us access to stuff that's outside of our imagination, perhaps. It can allow us a starter in that engine on days when it's a little bit colder. But let's mix it up. That's so if someone is just always only engaging in solo sex, masturbating just to porn or just one type of porn, coming back to that refrain of broadening up people's sexual spectrum and menu, what would it be if somebody looked for a different type of porn? Because sometimes we know that, again, not everybody, but some people get narrower and narrower and narrower in what they look for. And so maybe when we were young and we were first exposed to pornography, oh my God, it was all just kind of exciting because it was all new and fresh. And then we kind of started to learn what we were interested, and we winnowed it down, and then we winnowed it down, and then down. And sometimes we can get quite restrictive in what we open ourselves up to for arousal. So if somebody is habitually, regularly watching porn, I'd ask, how about the variety that you're looking at? The types of scenarios, the types of people in that, the types of body shapes, the sorts of acts that are doing and happening. Is that very narrow or is that broad? If it's very narrow, great, you know something you're into, brilliant, love that. But what about the other things that you might be into that you're missing or that you've forgotten about? Then, types of porn that you're consuming. Is it all just one type of recorded porn? Okay. What about studio porn? What about OnlyFans? What about vintage porn? And then the next step, what about no porn? What about your imagination? What about recalling past sexual encounters that you've had that have been, oh my God, 10 out of 10, I want to reorder that. Revisit in your mind. Or what about those people, those moments where, oh, it didn't quite happen. Imagine something. Or what about a totally made up scenario? Or what if we just stay really connected to the sensuality and physicality that we're experiencing, of just exploring our body and stroking ourselves and touching ourselves in different places and different ways and seeing the pleasure response it elicits and going with that? So again, in clinic, what we'd also do is that about varying the sorts of grip that people use, the sorts of sensations that people are using on their penises when masturbating as well, to really expand the experience of it so that we're diversifying the pleasure that we get from it. Because again, where we are coming to from this conversation is that we want everybody to connect with their sex better. What sex and pleasure means for them on their terms. We want them to enjoy it more.